Hey Rich and Liz, just a final video to wrap things up for the semester. First of all, I want to acknowledge the kind of different situation we were in this summer, where you were taking a class that with just two people and by distance learning. And I think both of those things create some challenge, but I have to compliment you guys on doing your best to overcome the limitations of those two things. First of all, in my experience, distance learning can be just as good as face-to-face learning, and even with good discussions, but it's hard to achieve, and face-to-face discussions are better often, especially with philosophical questions. You get more constant interaction. And then also, just having the three of us together in this class limits the kind of different ideas that we, as a group, can bring to bear, as opposed to doing discussions like this online. So I want to compliment you guys on having solid posts throughout the semester that were interesting and responding to each other. And I hope, despite the limitations, that it did provoke some new ideas for you that you will use as you go into the next steps of your program. Especially, Rich, I know you had said that you haven't had the intro class to the leadership program yet. And hopefully, and I think you're doing that this fall, so hopefully some of the ideas from this class will lead into the next class. Liz, I'm not sure exactly where you are in the program, but I'm hoping for a similar thing. And now I'd like to just reply to the final posters. And I'm going to respond a little bit more to Rich, because Rich, you did teacher reflection, and that's a special interest of mine. But I want to tie in Liz's also with her emphasis on Socratic questioning. Because the Socratic questioning, if you go back to the first dialogue we did with Meno, really it is not so much, in my mind, about finding truth as about going on a journey of finding truth. And that's also what teacher reflection is about, in my opinion. So, Rich, I want to go back to one little thing you said that was small, but it actually was surprising to me. And that is, you said that when you went to Westchester around 2000, teacher reflection was not emphasized. Now, the reason that was surprising to me is I've looked at the history of teacher reflection, and really teacher reflection as an emphasis hit its peak in the 90s. And I would expect was still prominent among faculty in most teacher ed institutions across the country by the year 2000 or so. In fact, I had done a study once where I analyzed all the conceptual frameworks of all the institutions applying for accreditation around the year 2005, and every single teacher institution across the country that I analyzed had teacher reflection as its most important value. Now, whether that was mere words and not put into action, or maybe there was actually something different going on in Westchester, I'm not sure, but it did surprise me. And flip that around, and today you would, if you look at teacher education across the country, you would actually see a decrease in teacher reflection emphasized, while at the same time there's an increased emphasis on basic competencies, or I shouldn't say basic, but competency evaluation. And that ties into movements like the Danielson framework, but there's a lot more involved with assessment and teacher ed these days, going well beyond Danielson. So it's more about proving skills than engaging in a process of reflection today in teacher education, right? So, but it doesn't have to be that way, because it's really up to the individual responding to whatever they're given in their professional development or in their teacher ed program, how they're going to take it. So, Rich, I was really interested to hear you talk about how you use the Danielson framework and the portfolio of evidence that you developed as a deep reflective opportunity. And that is definitely there as a possibility, and Danielson herself does say that that is her aim. So what you did was right in line with the purpose of it. But I would venture to say that a good percentage, if not a majority of folks that engage with that process don't do it with that attitude in mind, but instead they do it as an exercise in how can they succeed in the evaluation process. And they may do reflection along the line, but I don't think it's in the same sense of sincerity and authenticity that it seemed like you did it, Rich. And so we have all these opportunities for professional development and reflection all the time, but how we choose to approach them is really key. And I would say for both of you as future leaders, it's something that's somewhat out of your control, how teachers are going to respond, but a lot of it is in your control. How you present it to them, how it gets enacted, can definitely push a teacher to be more in the how do I succeed at the evaluation game mode versus how do I succeed as a reflective practitioner. Last thing I want to say to you guys is I very much appreciate that neither one of you ever asked me all semester long how I was grading. I might have been in the syllabus how I was doing, but I never gave you any feedback about it. And given that, I don't want to make too many inferences, but given that both of you seem like you're type A personalities and that you always did everything I asked, and sometimes you were pushing me because I was behind on stuff in terms of giving you more work to do, I would have expected that you would have been asking me those questions, but you didn't. So that indicated to me that you trusted that I was being fair with you, and also that you were taking seriously the questions that I had asked you to do work on, as opposed to only being concerned with how you were being graded. So I would let you know that I've inputted A's for both of you in the banner system, so those should be available to you Thursday when the university, I think by Thursday the university will have that showing up in your transcripts. So anyways, again, Rich and Liz, I want to just thank you for a nice semester, and I wish you good luck in your upcoming classes.